Good afternoon, altogether. Please give Mr. George Lloyd a hand. And it is only proper and timely that I start by acknowledging our traditional custodians of the land here. We gather today on Gomorrah, land of the Gadigal clan of the Yandera Nation, who are traditional custodians of the land which we meet today. And I pay my respects to their elders past and present. And I extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples here today. And I start off not just to say that because it's the proper and right thing to do, as is customary with this conference, but it is an essential spirit of how we do business in this industry in Papua New Guinea. And thank you, George, to come onto this plenary session, finishing off with Kina operating on Sudest, the first location of gold discovery in Papua New Guinea. And by this time, starting in January, it will be 136 years when gold was first discovered in Sudest in 1888. So Kina and Oro Nickel, you're walking where giants once walked this industry. And all power to you as you take on the new year. With that, I would reach out to our panelists for this afternoon, Mr. John Levins, CEO for K92 Mining. If you're in the room, please make him welcome. Give him a hand. K92 has been an absolute success story in the last half a decade with John coming on. So welcome, John. It's a pleasure to have you here this afternoon. Thank you. And my good brother and friend, Mr. Howard Lole. Howard, if you're in the room, make him welcome. Fortunes favors the bold. And I'm sure we'll hear a lot more good stories from Tolu Minerals as they go forward in the new year. Mr. Harry Corey, our secretary for the Department of Mineral Policy and Geohazards, if you're in the room. You can come up. No. No one of seniority within MRA who could be here with us. Mr. Jerry Gary, Acting Managing Director for MRA. Philip, could you identify anyone who could participate? You don't need me to identify them. The room's too small. Okay. Petroleum Department, Mr. Jimmy Haumu, if you're here. Professor Brent McInnes, Chairman of Peak Oil. Please make him welcome. He is the face of what patient capital looks like in Papua New Guinea. And so we are missing two key important participants in the regulator with MRA and Mineral Policy and Geohazards and our own Petroleum Department. But that's all right, we'll get going. It's okay with you, gentlemen?
Sorry, we don't do anything without the approval of the regulator.
As they say, if you're not at the table, you're probably on the menu. But we'll be nice. So with this session today, the overall theme is how does PNG create right investment environment for exploring and uncovering the next wave of discoveries. And without the presence of the regulator, it gives me great pleasure to see three great men of our time continuing a legacy that started 136 years ago in the country we all love and call home, Papua New Guinea. With that, I will start with Professor Brent, Chairman of Peak Oil. I know Peak Oil has been in Papua New Guinea looking at offshore New Ireland for quite a while. I would put this question to you. Given the advent of changes in politics in Papua New Guinea and expectations of the market with changes in world mega trends with ESG and so forth, what are some of the challenges you find in attracting capital, not only in financial, but in human capital that believe in the process, to operate in a place like Papua New Guinea, chasing a resource that is fast becoming unpopular to the common market investor other than private equity and those who are traditional investors in the business?
Well, thank you for the question. Clearly, the challenges have never been greater. I think what we're facing is a strong activist population who don't understand the importance of energy in the lifestyle that we lead, and how, although we do need to manage emissions, we do need to pursue renewables, at some stage you just still need a hydrocarbon molecule to provide you with some significant energy to do work. And the work is involved with the manufacturing of materials, the production of road supplies, the production of concrete. Everything that we need and enjoy in our civilization requires the hydrocarbon molecule. Now, emissions needs to be reduced. There's no doubt about that. We need to reduce the amount of coal that's being burnt around the world, and yet we see nations around the world that are producing the most CO2 not making those big changes. So for a country like Papua New Guinea, where the GDP per person is $2,500, and comparing it to the GDP of the United States or Australia, which is 20 times greater, for the country of Papua New Guinea to have to put brakes on exploration for hydrocarbons makes no sense to this country. So I thought what the Prime Minister had to say the other day made great sense. You are a negative CO2 economy. There's nothing to be ashamed of. You need to support this industry because it will provide better opportunities for your people into the future. Nonetheless, when we're exploring, we have to realize that Papua New Guinea is just one attractive exploration destination. Companies like Total and Exxon and the big independent companies, they've got 50 projects around the world, and they're constantly ranking them in terms of fiscal returns, in terms of ESG, in terms of many different criteria. And Papua New Guinea needs to make sure that they are the preferred destination of that capital and of that opportunity. So what is not good is uncertainty in the market. People can, if they know what the rules are, they can work around the rules, can set up business processes in place to deal with production sharing contract or a concessional regime in terms of the oil and gas sector. But what is not good is to have prolonged period of uncertainty. And so that's one thing we would like the government to move forward with quickly so that we can have certainty for the industry coming into the country.
Excellent. Thank you, Professor Brent. From this week's presentation yesterday, I think the Petroleum Minister has made it clear that PSC for the mining is parked on the side, and for petroleum, it's in discussions still. So that's a welcome news. Just one more question before I move to Howard. As a junior explorer, and given the challenge with regulatory resources within Papua New Guinea, what is, in terms of interface we have a lot of challenge given the capacity of the regulator, as well as the crowding out of smaller players who are just starting. Do you find a lot of challenge with that? And what are some things you'd like to do to give confidence to your backers that you have the face time of interaction and so forth going forward with your programs?
Well, we're in the frontier. There are many, the New Ireland Basin is a frontier basin. We're wildcatters. There's been no well drilled in the basin. There's a lot of doubters. They've been doubting for years. We continue to prove up that there is something, a petroleum system operating there, that there's actual gas and oil leaking onto the bottom of the ocean. There's no better thing to have samples of that material. But the cost of a well in a frontier basin is in the 1,000 meters plus, and the same Lara faces the same issues, is that first well is $100 million US. Attracting a deep water drill rig to Papua New Guinea is going to take the industry to work together to share mobilization costs, to make sure that we can get the best price per meter for those wells that we possibly can. So I look forward to the regulator having a very important role in getting the industry to work together to bring the drill ship in, hopefully in 2025, where we can share the mobilization costs and we can benefit from that infrastructure coming into the country.
Excellent. Thank you, Professor. Howard, it's been a long journey of a bit of patience with our very own regulator and the politics as it is to get to this point. Well done. Going forward with Tolu mining, what are some challenges you see now, given the history of Tolukuma, as we all know too well? A very enriched location with mineral potential, so close yet so far. And I understand enhancing supply chain and energy provision will be key to getting that mine operating, and I'm sure Tolu is on the way to getting that done. What are some of the challenges you find, and what can we do better as a country to enable you to engage with the market and get the support you need to give us the benefit of seeing that mine come to life?
Well, thank you very much. I think the biggest, not the biggest, but in an ideal world, I would expect all the stakeholders, especially the key stakeholders, to think like a junior operator, where time is very important. We don't want any delays in the project. So if that common understanding and vision is shared by the regulators and the landowners and the project proponents, I think we'll be able to deliver a project in time, because there are a lot of parties out there. We go and tell them that we'll be able to achieve this and that within a time. So we as operators, we're really under pressure to deliver and meet those deadlines. So if the government and our key stakeholders can share that, the sentiments that we have as small operators and minor, not major companies, but who need to survive, and our survival is based on our performance. So we want the key stakeholders to at least support us in that respect.
Thank you. So I suppose to put it briefly, communicating the time value of the project to the communities and get the buy-in is important, and getting both the political will to make that happen, as well as the regulatory support to provide extension services with that knowledge support to the communities. John, Kanantu has been a tremendous success story for Papua New Guinea, and especially for the mining sector, including the MRA. and their support given to the work that you guys have done in K9 to K9 to expansion is on the horizon. I'm sure the market is very excited by all of this good news. I'll put it simply, John, you've been a veteran now, being in PNG, and been bright and hard like a quilla and not a bamboo. What keeps you awake at night going forward with K9 to expansion, as far as the investment community is concerned and getting that support all the way through?
So,
It's not meant to be a trick question.
no. I didn't think it was. Keeps me awake at night. Well, there's many things that keep me awake at night. Some of them are medical, and I'm taking pills for it. But the reality is that when you look at working in Papua New Guinea, we have a unique set of challenges, and we have many that many other people have as well. When we look at access to land is fundamental for exploration. But in Papua New Guinea, as we know, we've got 12 million people, or maybe more, maybe less, depends whether you believe the UN or whoever. But we've got a lot of people. We've got something like 300,000 taxpayers, which tells us that the vast majority of the people in the country are subsistence farmers. So wherever you go in the country, it's someone's land. You are a guest. And each clan, each individual, each block holder has their own little rules for their guests, some of which are communicated quite quickly, some of which take months to come out. So if you look at exploration, for us, engagement with community is fundamental. And it is a massive barrier for new players coming into the country. We've been in the country many years. I first came into the country in '93. Obviously, I was at school then, and it's got easier and it's got harder. There are more expectations. We've got social media. We've got so many other things that are actually actively giving you a problem and also giving you an opportunity. Juniors are the really fundamental drivers in exploration. They're far more efficient than the majors. We had one major company come and visit us, and Chris Mueller walked through the stream, and the guy looked at it and said, "Whoa, no, that goes above my ankles. No, I'm not allowed to cross that. Have you got a helicopter?" We didn't. So you think I'm joking, I'm serious. Juniors drive. We bring juniors into this country, we give them a 2-year exploration license, and it'll take you, if you're really, really good, a year to negotiate with your local people to have access, because you're educating many times on what the expectations are. It's not going to be a mine, you're going to do some exploration. 2 years, it's not enough. 5-year exploration licenses are what we need so that people have got an opportunity, and also so that our entrepreneurs, our PNG entrepreneurs, who are in the mining space, the exploration space, can be in there getting access to those exploration licenses, and then in that 5-year period be able to bring in capital from outside. So lack of capital for exploration, lack of life for exploration leases are difficult. And even a company like ourselves, and we've gone to renew our exploration license, at times it took over 2 years. So you're actually working on a piece of ground that you're waiting for a renewal, and it comes up for another renewal. I've got to say that not an issue that we've had for the last year and a half since we've got the new minister, but those are the sort of issues that can keep you awake at night if you're a worrying sort of person. But I'd suggest if you're a worrying sort of person, probably don't come to PNG. Go to Western Australia. There, they close the borders to protect you all. It's lovely, cotton wool, etc., etc.
Excellent.
Sorry, long answer, but
No, it's good. Look, to sum it up, swimming upstream to buy time with the terms of the exploration licenses given. More so, you spend the first half of it doing community service and trying to get land access. So I think the answer is very, very clear. Going forward, how will we time, Philip? I will ask one more round.
You're asking a man who hasn't got a
And
watch.
since our regulators are not here, I don't want to put them on the menu. But Professor Brent, you've been in peak oil for quite a while and on the Manus project for quite a while, doing a lot of technical work, surveys and so forth. What would be a piece of advice you can give to other juniors who are interested in other basins offshore Papua New Guinea?
Well,
Who are interested to come into Papua New Guinea and say, Professor, what should we do?
yeah, well, I was fortunate that I've been working in New Guinea since 1988, a schoolboy like John. It's taken a lot of time to work out what the best way to go is, but at the end of the day, you need to find the groups of geologists and teams that you can put together who have experience on the ground. We've been very successful by partnering all along the way. Searcher Seismic has been fantastic in what they're doing in terms of getting the special permits from the government to shoot multi-client seismic surveys, and that really was a shot in the arm for the New Ireland Basin, the brand new fantastic seismic lines that go all the way down to the Moho that were generated there. So yeah, I think in essence that's in North America, in Canada, in Australia, what attracts juniors and risk capital are pre-competitive data. So some pre-competitive data sets from companies like Searcher, supported by the government. Right now, I think Searcher's carrying, and companies that are carrying the bulk of the cost and the risk. But I think with the National Oil Company now and other entities such as like the Geological Survey, MRA, I think the benefits of pre-competitive data have been demonstrated in all over Australia, and particularly in Western Australia, where that is attracting a lot of risk capital on the basis of free data. So that would be my suggestion to the government, to keep moving ahead with offshore surveys, any sort of pre-competitive data that can be provided and attract risk capital to the country.
Thank you, Professor. It's interesting when you look at the petroleum map of Papua New Guinea. Most of the development is on the back of discoveries done in 50s and 60s. And you have a high density of resource investment to the south. The northern coast of Papua New Guinea and the islands remain a bit of an enigma. So you're certainly a pioneer in that part of the country. So good luck.
Been a lot of doors closed in our face. Kissed a lot of frogs, so we're continuing to do that. So thank you.
So I'll ask the two miners, one last but not least. In this panel, we're talking about bringing on the next wave of discoveries, low-cost discovery at that. And just before this panel, we heard from Kina about the activity in Chutas, and I remind us again that Chutas started in 1888, about 134 years ago. And at that time, history describes them as the explorers or the miners at the time as a bunch of blind stabbers, poking holes in the ground, hoping to make a discovery. Given the advance in technology and where we're at now, with artificial intelligence and a lot of analogous data to juxtapose your risk assessment of where to go and explore. What are some of the key variables in exploration that you'd like to see input from the government to help you get that low-cost discovery going, besides landowner and social issues?
Well, as was said by Professor, we're in the same position where you need information, geological information. Historically, we haven't been very good at generating information in this country with government. It's certainly an area which I know that Jerry Gary, for instance, is very passionate about generating more information so that we're able to look at targets. The people coming into the country have got more data than we have right now. We flew, I think, one of the largest and the most advanced aerial geophysics just a couple of years ago. There was prior information. It was incredibly poor, incredibly dated. We've now got great data, and as a result, we've got targets for the next 20-odd years. That's assuming that we keep increasing Chris's budget, which he keeps putting up every time I talk to him. And justified, because if you take our operation, cost of discovery of the last 2.5 million ounces we put together was less than $7.50 an ounce. That is well below industry average of $50 to $60 an ounce. So you can do it in this country. People have this idea that you can't. You can do it in the country, but if you're focused in a specific area. And if we look at our porphyry discovery, it was less than $1 an ounce. But we're targeting in a specific area. We need a lot more juniors coming in to find the mines of the future. And one of the things that we put to the minister was something that said, here we are, 100 projects. And then we come down to, we're going to drill them, less than 50. We get to some sort of study, we're down to about 5. We'll get to less than 1 out of 100 will actually become a mine. Well, we don't have 100 projects that are working right now in this country, not properly. We've got people who are looking to spend money, et cetera, et cetera. So we are a long way away from where we should be, despite the fact we've got some of the most exciting geology in the world. We've got a lot of geologists, Papua New Guinean geologists who've worked in the industry who are out there trying to do their bit. That needs support from government. We need to be supporting the Papua New Guineans who are out there trying to be entrepreneurs. Now, how do we do that? We make legislation that allows them to be able to bring in risk capital. And when you can't trade with your leases and all the rest of it, and you've got them over a short term, that makes it very difficult for those people. So you need that sort of support, not just to bring in people from outside, but also to support the Papua New Guineans who, quite frankly, in many cases, have got a better idea of where we should be looking. Often because their one-tops keep bringing them rocks and saying, I got this one, this is really good, it comes from my garden, what do you think? And you know, sometimes, what do you think? And we've had it. Oh, wow, we think that's a porphyry. Where do you come from again? So.
Thank you, John. Howard, slightly different. Last question. Given where you are now with the development in Tolu, going forward, we all have had the Prime Minister said Papua New Guinea is a carbon negative territory. And I'd like to think that is true when it comes to mining. About 30% of the cost of mining in Papua New Guinea is underpinned, or it goes to energy. So from low-cost discovery to low-cost per ounce or per unit of either gold or copper you're producing, energy has been traditionally a challenge for Tolokuma in its previous days, with charters of helicopters carrying drums of fuel across the ridge. I understand you are building roads and looking at having a more sustainable, renewable source of energy supply to get the mine going. So good luck with that. Going forward, what would you like to see in Papua New Guinea, given we are a net exporter of energy, or are we? Given that we still have a challenge to try and power our 70% of households, let alone our mining industry has been having significant energy challenges all across. And even in Lihir, where Professor McInnes is just in the vicinity, looking for oil, at times they have to burn drums of diesel into those Wärtsilä engines they've got there. So what would you like to see going forward to help uncover not only low-cost discoveries, but low-cost production of those ounces with affordable, reliable, sustainable energy?
Thank you very much. That was one of the first questions when I started, talking to potential financiers. They said, "Oh, Tolokuma has not been doing well. So what new story do you have to give it to us before we put our funds or money into it?" So we realized that one of the key thing was the road. That's why we are building the road. And then because it has been helicopter supported, and that consumed most of the budget for operational cost. So that's one of the things we are doing, and then there have been some operational inefficiencies there, which we identified, and then we see those as opportunities for us to improve and make the project viable. So specifically on the energy side of it, we have a hydropower station there, which is 3 megawatts. So we are building the road, and we have given the contract to a reputable, hydropower producer, and personalities who've been involved with the recently commissioned edible power. So Tunnel Engineering PNG has been involved to do the road construction. And then hopefully after we complete the road construction, there will be other things that they will be able to do as well. So we are very aware of that. So we need to reduce the cost as much as we could. And also touching on what John was saying, for the junior operators, I'll touch a little bit, because Tolly Minerals is unique in a way, because it's homegrown, and the difficulty to go out there and ask people to invest in a technical business that not many business people are aware. It's a challenge for our geologists who are there, because you know the place well, you know the country. You have been working in most part of the part of the country, and you know where the good mineral potential is. So I think for Tolu to come this far is to have a very good team, very good team. But there has to be a collaboration between both PNG and international partners and experts, because you may be a very good geologist, but mining business or exploration business is not about geology alone. You have to do many things out there. So you have to have those people in your team, and then and then when everybody puts their hands in, you'll be able to achieve your dream. So I think we have to, those guys who take lead on those, I think the country and the people are expecting us, even like our diploma for Kenya do the same. Our geologists, I think Koti and some of the guys made presentation today. Look at the project. Look at the project as an entity, and then let it grow. And you let it grow, and then let people, you more accommodating to investors and people from both within PNG and overseas to come in and invest, and then support the project, and then we'll be able to achieve. I think that's the message I would give.
Thank you, Howard. Ladies and gentlemen, please give our panel a round of applause. Mr. John Levins, Howard Lole, and Professor Brent McInnes. It's great to hear direct from people who put their money where their mouth is. So thank you, gentlemen, for gracing us with your responses. this afternoon. With that, we come to the end of our plenary session. Unfortunately, our regulators at the MRA and the Petroleum Department are not here, but we can have them on the menu while we're having our coffee. Thank you all for coming and staying this long with this chamber organized event. I understand we'll wrap up after the afternoon tea, and you'll get a heads up on the event for next year. Thank you to all the explorers. Fortune favors the bold, as we say, and keep believing, keep moving forward. Papua New Guinea is certainly a country on the rise. Politics and entities in politics in Papua New Guinea come and go. As you know, this country, Papua New Guinea, is owned by 95% of its resource owners. And I'm sure when push comes to shove, they will make a call to keep this country going. So keep believing. For those of you in the minerals business, 134 years is just yesterday from Chutas. From blind stabbing to looking at computers and pinpointing where to put the exploration dollars next. Keep believing, and we've got gentlemen up front here with the experience and the foresight and knowledge of dealing in Papua New Guinea. Reach out to them. The next century going forward is a century of partnership and collaboration. And I'm sure they will need your help as well if you've got services that can support them. With that, thank you very much, gentlemen. Have a good afternoon, and looking forward to wrapping up.